What's up, guys?
Charging.
Today, we're going to talk about money. All right, so we're actually on our way to the bank right now, or we're going to go in just a minute. But first, I'm going to take you guys to the couch to let you know the things that we're going to go over today. That's my attempt at a cool transition. With a sound and maybe like a little... We'll see how it goes. That's right, you heard it here first. We're gonna talk about cash. We're gonna talk about investments, how I invest my money, emergency funds, saving accounts, and high yield saving accounts. Plus, if you know me, there's gonna be a little bit of chit chat. So stay tuned for all the juicy money talk. Really quick though, while yes, I am talking about my personal strategy, my money strategy in this video, hopefully it should still help you out and maybe you'll take some new things into consideration when strategizing what you wanna do with your money, such as how to invest it and how much you wanna keep in savings and where you should store your savings, etc. So with that, please give this video a very quick thumbs up, 0.18 seconds. It really helps out my channel with no cost to you. I would really appreciate it. Also, quick disclaimer and just something I presume I will get a few comments on in the comment section. All of the money that I talk about in this video, the money that I have in my investment accounts and my checking and my savings and cash, all of that money I made and earned myself. Except of course for the cash that I specifically say was gifted to me from family members and family friends for graduations, birthdays, and other milestones. I worked as a model for 3.5 years when I was in high school and made a decent amount of money doing that. I also think I invested it pretty wisely. And then I also had 2 finance internships in New York when I was in college, one of them at a large hedge fund and one of them at a large private equity firm. So I have made all of this money myself, and I just want to put that out there before people assume that, I don't know, my parents gave it to me or something. All right, with that out of the way, let's go back to the car and talk about cash. All right, yes, so first we're gonna discuss cash. This is my shoe. I put my shoes on in the car because if my dog sees me put them on in the house, then he thinks we're going on a walk, and I cannot disappoint my little Charlie. He is an angel. All right, so cash. The reason that we're going to the bank right now is to deposit all of the cash that I had on hand. So just over the years, you know, when I graduated high school, I had a birthday, Christmas, graduating college, I just have accumulated a decent amount of cash over time. And I was always one to put it in a box in my room, you know, into a secret place. As I've gotten older and begun to understand personal finance a little better, ideally, obviously, as time went on, I would have deposited that money and then put it into my investment account and just seen it grow over time. And I don't mean to make it sound like I have, you know, $10,000 of cash. I don't, but it is a sizable amount that has a much better place than in my room. So my plan today is to put all of it into my bank account and then to put it into my investments. And on the couch, I'm gonna go over my investment, not strategy, but kind of where I'm gonna put that money. But first, before we go over the investment side of things and everything else that we're gonna talk about today, a little word, if you will, on cash. I know that this varies a lot person to person and country to country, but just as credit cards have become so widely used and it's just become less important to carry around like a lot of cash to pay for things. But I do agree that you should have some cash on hand pretty much all the time, you know, just for emergencies, you know, if a place doesn't accept your card, if you need to pay for gas, anything, it's good to have a little bit of cash. But I pay for pretty much everything using my credit card. And I know this varies a lot country to country because when I studied abroad in Spain, it was very important to carry around quite a bit of cash. I mean, that's how I paid for, I don't know, I would say about half the things there, but whether it was food, groceries, you know, drinks, going out, whatever, cash was really important to have on hand. So anyway, I'm just curious, your relationship with cash. How much do you carry? Well, not how much, but like, do you like to carry around a decent amount of cash? Do you still like to pay for things with cash? Just kind of what's your overall philosophy on cash? But anyway, I'm going to deposit almost all of mine today. I mean, I saved a little bit so that way I have some on hand, but I'm going to deposit almost all of it and then I'll let you guys know on the couch what I'm planning on doing with it. So I will see you guys in a bit. All right, guys, we have arrived. There's not a line to get into the bank, which is great. Yesterday, I actually came yesterday to do this. There was a huge line. I'm guessing people came here to cash their stimulus checks. That's the only reason I can think there would be such a long line like that. It's also inauguration day. I don't know. Who knows why these things happen? We're gonna go in, we're gonna deposit that cash, and I will see you guys in a little bit. All right, deposited it. It literally took I would say 3 minutes. There was no line today. Like I said, it was amazing. Just went up and the machine counted it. I don't know. I've never, you see those like machines in the movies and stuff. I've personally never seen one in real life, but it counted it so fast. It came out to exactly what I counted it to. So that was great. And it's already in my account. I mean, it's processing, but it hit my account immediately. So anyway, now let's go home and talk about what I'm planning on doing with the cash, and also just what I currently have in my account and what my investment plan is, and also some other fun money related things. So I will see you guys on the couch at home. Bye. All right, welcome back to the couch. So now that we have discussed cash more or less, let's talk about a few other things, such as what am I going to do with this cash? Well, this brings me to the investment portion of the video. My plan in a nutshell for this section is to take all of the money that I don't need to have readily available and invest it. Invest it in what, you might ask? Well, I currently have most of my invested money in the SPY ETF. This is an ETF that is designed to follow the S&P 500 index. The benefit of it being an ETF is that it can still trade throughout the day like a normal stock, but you can still enjoy the diversification that you would get from an index fund. So I would say it is a safe investment, especially considering my plan and what I've been doing for years is to put it in and never really look at it. At least I don't touch it. I still look at it occasionally to see how it's grown, but that's different. I just think that's cool. So I know some people in the comments are gonna say, or probably, maybe, perhaps, are going to say, Taylor, the market's at an all-time high right now. Now is not the time to invest. Well, what if I decided to not put my money in at this all-time high? Or what about this all-time high? I would clearly be missing out on some serious gains. My point is, if my plan is to put it in and never really look at it, just let it sit and grow over the next 50 years, based off all historical evidence that we have, it will grow. I can't time the market. You can't time the market, even if you think you can. No one can time the market, and I personally don't think anyone should try to time the market. So the best thing that you can do, in my unprofessional opinion, is to adopt a similar long-term growth strategy like this one. Now, I do have a decent amount of money in individual stocks as well. However, these stocks are also big, safe, what people would usually deem as safe blue chip stocks, think Apple, Coca-Cola, etc. And day trading just really isn't my thing. Also, very few people actually sustainably make a lot of money day trading. They make their money by selling courses about it. And because of my risk aversion with money, I think that this is a safe strategy that will get me as close to a guaranteed long-term growth as anything else. All right, so that is the investment section. Now let's move on to savings and how I would like to store the money that I would like to have on hand. First though, don't forget to give this video a very quick thumbs up if you are enjoying so far. Thank you. All right, so first let's take a look at my checking account. I currently have way too much money in my checking account. And I don't mean that as like, I have way too much money in my checking account. I mean it in the sense that I think it's pretty irresponsible of me, of anyone, to have a lot of money in your checking account in general, rather than in the market, like the investment stuff I just talked about, or in a high yield savings account. To give you an idea, all of the money I've ever made on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari from reselling is in my checking account. Most of the money I made from my last internship is still in my checking account. And it's irresponsible and honestly a little embarrassing to admit that I haven't put this sum of money in a more wise place yet. But that's what this video is about. I also have a savings account at Bank of America that I have had open since I was, 10 or 11 years old. And that pays me, are you ready? Drum roll, 0.001% interest every month, or about 0.01% APY. So I opened this savings account, of course, at my parents' suggestion at a very young age and with their help. And, I would just deposit a couple dollars in it at a time, chores or lemonade stands and all the little like entrepreneurial things I would get up to when I was a kid. But that money has grown to enough of an amount where it should be in a different place, I would say, especially given this abysmal 0.01% interest rate. Of course, I am glad that my parents had me open this account and just taught me to save my money at a very young age. I think that it's safe to say that has stuck with me to this day. But between this money in my low interest savings account and my checking account, what am I to do with this money? This brings me to the high yield savings account portion of this video. So at 23 years old now, I have been doing a lot more research recently about high yield savings account, and I currently am sorry to say that I don't have one open yet. But after doing more research, I realize now that that is where I want to store the money that I want to have on hand. Because those accounts pay a 1% or higher, I've even heard about a 4% APY that I remember Graham Stephan talking about in one of his videos where he goes over the best savings account. I think that 4% APY is T-Mobile and there's a lot of stipulations there. But either way, a lot of these high yield savings accounts still pay 1% or up to, I believe, 1.5% APY. And that obviously just pales in comparison to my 0.01%. So will this increased interest make a huge difference month to month? No, but every little bit helps, and I think it's just a more wise place to keep this money that I want to have on hand. So this high yield savings account is also where I plan on keeping my emergency fund. And I know most financial advisors recommend 3 to 6 months of expenses. I've heard some throughout 8 months. I guess the more the better, really, unless you want to have that money in the market. It depends person to person. But my expenses right at the moment are pretty much non-existent besides the inventory that I pick up to sell on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. But when my full-time job in New York starts in April, I will be looking at expenses like rent, food, entertainment, etc., lots of other things. So how much money exactly I will want to have as an emergency fund will be a little bit to be determined. I'll see when I find out exactly how much I'm really spending month to month once my real life starts, you know what I mean? But I will probably follow that general rule of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I have also thought about money that I will want to have on hand for purposes like travel. Now I know travel is sort of a weird thing to talk about right now with what's going on. But let's say in a few years' time in the future, I want to take an international vacation. Ideally, I wouldn't have to sell stocks in order to finance that. And I also don't want to eat into my emergency fund. So my plan is to have an extra travel fund sort of, amount of money in my high yield savings account as well. It might even be a good idea to open up a separate high yield savings account for that travel fund. I would recommend evaluating, if you have kind of not the best concept of where your money is going each month, maybe it is a good idea to open up separate accounts in order to see where your money's going, or to use an app like Mint, which helps you kind of track where your expenses are going. Because even if you are so good at mental accounting, I think that, speaking from personal experience, when I had more expenses in college, we can still surprise ourselves to see where large chunks of our expenses are going without us realizing it. So that pretty much outlines what I plan to do with my money in the future and in the coming months. Of course, there are more nitty-gritty things like Roth IRA and 401k and things that I'll talk about in the future, but that basically outlines what I hope to do with my cash, my emergency fund, money that I want to have on hand, and my investment accounts. And if I may summarize it for you so it's a bit more digestible. Number 1, I had a decent amount of cash accrued over time from milestones, graduations, birthdays, all that good stuff over time, and I deposited almost all of it into my checking account today and plan on investing just about all of it. I will, however, keep a little bit of cash on hand in case of emergencies. Number 2, most of my invested money is in the SPY ETF, which again is designed to follow the S&P 500 index. I also do have a decent amount of money invested in individual stocks. These are mainly blue chip, safe stocks, what people would consider safe stocks. And I personally think that this is a good way to go, the SPY ETF, as well as individual stocks that are safe, good, blue chip stocks. Especially considering my strategy, what I've always done, what I probably always will do, is to put the money in and leave it and let it grow over the next 50 years until I need to pull it for buying a house or some big expenses that I'll have when I'm deep into adulthood. Number 2, B, don't try to time the market, in my opinion. Number 3, I plan on opening up very soon, probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, we'll see. No, not the next day, tomorrow. You're gonna do this tomorrow, Taylor. I plan on opening a high yield savings account to store the money that I want to have on hand. This includes 3 to 6 months of expenses, as well as a travel fund, and of course some additional money that I will use to pay off my credit card and things like that. And any money that I have left over will feed back into my investment account. This high yield savings account is a better choice than what I'm currently doing with my low yield savings account and my checking account, because it will pay me more than 1% APY, which is great. And I will let you guys know which one I end up choosing. So it partially comes down to laziness that I have been holding a decent amount of money kind of irresponsibly for a while, but it's also that I haven't really taken the time to make a clear-cut plan until now. And yes, I would have been forced, I think, to do this when my steady income starts coming in, but I beat future Taylor to it. So let me know what you guys do with your money. That sounds personal. It sounds a little too personal. What I mean is, I think that this finance in general and just personal finance is a very, very important topic that a lot of us, especially young women my age, don't really talk about enough. And I want to help you guys. No, I know I'm not a professional, but if you are trying to re-strategize like I have, or you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. And I think it would be really great to get a nice community discussion going about this topic. Like I said, obviously not a professional, but I do want to debunk this kind of mystery and intimidating wall that we can have when we talk about money, and especially investing, because it really is so incredibly important and just, paramount to the center of how society and life actually works. So why not talk about it, All right, guys, again, quick reminder to give this video a quick thumbs up if you enjoyed it at all. Even if you didn't enjoy it, you give it a don't give it a thumbs down. But I do hope you found this helpful, and definitely keep an eye out for more money related videos, especially when my full-time income starts coming in. I will have more to talk about. And to give you guys 2 pointed questions, please tell me what your philosophy is on cash, aka do you carry a lot of it around or do you just mainly use a credit card? Also, if you're in a different country, let me know how cash kind of works in your country. I know it varies a lot. Second pointed question, do you have an emergency fund? And if so, how many months of expenses do you have in it? All right, that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you very soon. I took a little break, but I'm back. I'm back. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye. I feel like that was uncomfortably close. That's okay. Cool transition. I don't know. Should I start an ASMR channel? No, I shouldn't. Separate. Why do I keep saying secret? That's not even a word, Taylor. Freaking idiot.
Freaking idiot.
Why am I so close to the camera? I hope you can't hear my grumbling belly. I'm hungry. Oh, your hair looks bloody insane, Taylor. It's hot.